My presentation today focuses on one of our area of the center, which is sport nutrition for health, and also to support exercise adaptation. To start, my question is, common sense is to use nutrition and some nutritional strategy to help people to improve performance or exercise outcomes. And some people consider that all we eat, in addition to a normal diet, should be ergogenic. Ergogenic means any technique, mechanical, nutritional, physiological, we can do in order to improve performance and to add some additional gain in performance beyond what we can obtain from exercise or for training. That is the point that I would like to discuss at the beginning of my presentation, because when we talk about ergogenic diets, we are not talking about only diet or supplement or maybe some mechanical help to run faster or to jump higher. Why a nutritional supplement should be ergogenic? This is something we are discussing among many professionals of the area, because they think that if it's not ergogenic, it doesn't work, which this is an idea I really don't share with my colleagues, because we use supplement to improve the quality of our diet, to make our diet better, to support training adaptation. That means without training will not be adaptation. We need to first train and then support the training adaptation using an appropriate diet that sometimes will need some supplements. To understand what is a supplement, we need to define supplements. And according to this very good paper published by Phillips, which is our one of the leaders in the area of supplement and physiology and sports science, is the ingestion of some nutrients over and above the habitual diets consumption. And according to my research in the last 25 years, I consider that supplementation is an acceptable methodology we can use to support our diets. That means to balance our diet. When people think that balanced diet is the diet that is balanced in the amount of protein, carbohydrate, and fat, this is wrong. A balanced diet is a diet that is balanced with the physiological demands of a person. It's not that a diet that contains 33% of carbs, 33% of fats, 33% of proteins, or as the traditional recommendation says that a balanced diet should offer 50% of kilocalories from carbohydrates. This is not true, because the body doesn't use 50% of the calories for carbohydrates. Can happen dependent on the physiological needs. So the balanced diet is the diet that is really matching the physiological demands of people. And if you are sedentary, and hopefully there are not many sedentary people among us today, I try to convince you to get engaged in physical activity since I met you here in Greenwich, right? Your physiological demand has increased because you are active. Therefore, in order to balance the diet, you need to satisfy your physiological demands. This is a balanced diet. And because we exercise, we increase our needs in terms of kilocalories, protein, fats, and also carbohydrates. And therefore, if we don't eat as appropriate, what happens is we're going to have this problem, a training-induced suboptimal nutrition. So although you eat very well, according to the clinical consideration, we are not eating appropriately according to your particular and individual demand. So your diet is suboptimal. You don't have deficiencies in nutrients because you are eating what people said, what clinical recommendations said, what the World Health Organization says. But it's suboptimal because you are not eating what you need. Okay? And this supplementation is not limited to eat something that can increase my performance beyond what we obtain by exercise program. Is also open to any kind of nutrient we eat to satisfy, to avoid deficiencies, to avoid performing lower than I should be because I am not providing to my body the nutrient, the amount of nutrient we need. This is a classification of supplements I published in 2008, and I have already updated according to the last publication considering the classification of nutrients by the International Association for Nutrition. There are functional nutrients, vitamin, minerals you can find in any pharmacy, and there is no need for prescription for this. Kind of supplement functional foods, because the food is composed by nutrients. And when you mix different foods, you make a meal. That is what you eat maybe 4, 3, 5 times per day. A combination of different food containing nutrients. And there are some specific formulations that are called supplements, or really optimal food that can match your needs at different specific situation in your life. Then we have some supplement with the asterisks, according to the publication of the International Society for Nutrition, have been demonstrated to have some effect in increasing performance. They can be considered ergogenic. For example, very popular is creatine, that people use to increase the capacity to recover between exercise, and you can gain some extra body mass if you, of course, train. And some stimulants that are not forbidden. For example, the most popular is caffeine, and we are going to talk in the next 20 minutes about caffeine. Okay, what this supplement do you think this athlete needs? This is my question. Do you think that there is one particular supplement that the bodybuilder needs compared to the marathon runner? Everybody should eat the same? What would you do? What would you recommend for a bodybuilder? Creatine? Proteins? No? No idea? Everybody should eat exactly the same supplement, but using different methodologies and amounts. The same amount of creatine doesn't work for the bodybuilder or the marathon runner. First, because the most important consideration, and I will tell my students in the master and also PhDs, is all recommendations should be based on relative amounts. There is no recommendation even in 400 grams. No, it should be grams per kilograms of body mass. Professionals using absolute amounts, with all respect, are really doing wrong. They are not very well updated with science. They are still 25 years ago. Need to get updated. In our profession, we need to study every day. And we need to investigate to keep our colleagues updated. That is because that is the reason why we do research. And in order to believe in research, we need to classify, categorize the evidence we read in our papers or in paper published by many journals. This is a classification of the kind of evidence published by the American College of Medicine based on the National Heart, Lung and Blood Institute, but also adopted by many, many institutions in the last 10 years, and is the criterion used by the position of time published by the American College of Medicine in the last 10 years. Evidence one is the best. It's a randomized control trial, very well designed. The gold standard is the meta-analysis. Why? Because a meta-analysis is a selection of the best randomized control trials that match with the inclusion criteria to say, okay, what do we know about this treatment? We know this. Work, doesn't work, this is what we do. Number two, no enough evidence. Maybe we should be cautious in order to recommend this treatment. Number three, or C, no convincing evidence. People say that can work, but there is nothing to support this recommendation. And the two last, do not recommend, do not do that. However, my question is, when we started to do research, do we have a meta-analysis with some new investigation? How research started? 200 years ago, 300 years ago, there were no meta-analysis, not even publications. So we should not disregard the relevance of anecdotal observation and case study, because research was done based on case studies. Okay? So this is very, very important. The original, people say, no, this cannot be done because there are no evidence. Somebody has to start. And this is observation. And this is a case study. People today are looking for meta-analysis. Everybody relies on meta-analysis. There is no meta-analysis, no, nothing to do. How can I have a meta-analysis about a new product, about a new treatment, about a new proposal? We have proposed with Roberto a non-pharmacological treatment to integrate resistance training in patients with cancer. No evidence that this is going to work. This is new, because it's our proposal. And we have been observing people adapting to this proposal and performing better than people using traditional intervention. So case studies are very important. To produce a meta-analysis, we need case study, observational studies, non-randomized control trial, and then randomized control trial, many of them without heterogeneity, to produce a meta-analysis. This is not 1 day, 3 days, not even 1 year, not even 10 years, maybe 20 or 25 or 30 years. So don't get confused with that, because we don't have meta-analysis for everything. For example, this is a meta-analysis published in the best journal in our area, the British Journal for Medicine. This meta-analysis analyzes the effectiveness of using a multi-nutrient containing proteins. A multi-nutrient is a supplement containing carbohydrate, proteins, fats, vitamin, minerals that people can take at different moments during the day. In this meta-analysis, they consider only people drinking multi-nutrients before, during, and after an exercise session. You drink, train. During training, you drink this. After training, you drink the supplement. And they compare what happened with people eating the multi-nutrient with people eating just one nutrient, providing energy, but with only one element or macronutrient. For example, carbohydrates or proteins. In this meta-analysis, they also add a group eating nothing, without multigrain, just exercise. Okay? If you see the diamond, the black diamond at the end of the first plot, this diamond indicates what we should do. What is the result of all the studies when considering all the studies together? This is called the pooled average mean, represented the difference between using multi-nutrients or not using multi-nutrients. When the diamond, the black diamond, fall on the right, means that people drinking the multi-nutrient are obtaining better results, better outcomes compared to people not using the multi-nutrients. Okay, this is clear. So what happened here? Who have obtained better results? Groups using multi-nutrient or groups using no multi-nutrient? What is better? What would you recommend here? Drink multi-nutrient or not? I say drink because usually multi-nutrients are provided in liquid or solutions. Where are the diamonds? On the right or on the left? Where are they? On the left. So eating multi-nutrient is better. Okay. The right, yes, okay. Right, sorry. My left, but this is your right. Okay, but what happened when we analyze this meta-analysis? Say, body composition, fat-free mass and fat will be better if you drink the multi-nutrient instead of eating nothing or just carbohydrate or protein alone. Upper body strength will be higher and lower body strength will be higher if you train the same but drinking the multi-nutrient. The problem was that in this, when we explore this meta-analysis, there are some studies, because every line is a study. I know you know, because here we are familiarizing with the meta-analysis, maybe not with the topic, but with the meta-analysis. They have mixed study using patient with sarcopenia. Can you compare a person with sarcopenia with a guy who has no sarcopenia? They will respond the same to the exercise and nutrition? Of course not. Best journal in our area. Best journal in our area. Best journal in our area. Read the Journal of Sport Medicine. Has published this meta-analysis with such very big mistakes. Non-isocaloric comparators. When using studies, one group using supplement, the other group using a supplement, we are not isocaloric, so energy was different. Big mistake, because energy is the best and the most important characteristics of a study to induce adaptation. When compared two multinutrients, or one multinutrient versus the comparator, there were significant differences in the amount of energy. So three main mistakes that lead us to design a new meta-analysis, because we observed these systematic errors in many other papers. This is a recent published meta-analysis we did with Joel Puente, who is our PhD, one of our PhD, ended in July, I hope, his thesis. And we observed, we compare multi-ingredients again with the comparator, not non-multi-ingredients. So multi-ingredient versus eating something, but carbohydrate alone mainly, fat-free mass, upper body strength, lower body strength, functional capacity, which is the capacity to move under a specific standardized test. Where are the rhomboids? Where are the diamond now? On the right, on the left, in the middle?
Right.
The last one. Middle, 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 middle. There's no differences. We did a similar meta-analysis observing no differences. So it doesn't matter. The most important is you train. If you don't train, you don't obtain benefits. Doesn't matter what you eat. However, according to our result, post-workout or pre-workout multi-ingredients will produce the same result regardless of the composition. Different between studies are due to non-controlled variables. When you do a meta-analysis, you introduce all the data in software, and the software tells you if you can run the meta-analysis or stop in the systematic review, right? When you can run the meta-analysis, it's because there is no heterogeneity between studies. Am I right? Yes? And then all studies are similar, can be compared among them. No, because the software doesn't understand if the composition of the supplement is different. You don't introduce the data on the software. You don't introduce the data on the software containing participants suffering from significant difference in their body composition. You don't introduce the software if the training people are trained in endurance or in strength or are untrained. You don't tell the software if you have patients or non-patients. And these are more important variables than the sample size. That is because we need to continue to do randomized control trials. As long as we can design randomized control trials. How people design randomized control trials? How? There are there are many alternatives, but these are the two most important design in randomized control trial. First, parallel groups. Two groups using two different treatments. Participant in one group will not use the treatment of the participant in the other group. Okay? Two parallel groups, we test at the beginning, we test at the end of intervention, 6 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, and we compare difference to my Vaseline state from my group to test 1 or Vaseline, and also between groups. Okay? It's a randomized control trial because everybody has to have the opportunity to be allocated in one of the group. It doesn't matter, we don't allocate people in group. We have a system which allocates participants in the group and you have to have the same possibility to be allocated in each group. It's randomized. And also, it's double-blind in the case of nutrition because people don't know what treatment they are following. In sports science, sometimes it's impossible to do double-blind because we are watching people doing resistance training and other people doing another intervention. But in nutrition, it's still possible to do double-blind. The second is a crossover design. We have only one group using one treatment first and the other treatment after the period. And then because we start half of the sample in treatment A, half of the sample in treatment B, and then we swap. Okay? Good. Post-workout supplementation in young resistance training adults. This is a crossover design. One group, two conditions. Okay? One condition. They were drinking carbohydrate and resistance training. Second condition, they were drinking this supplement, which is a multi-ingredient, and resistance training. Resistance training is the same for everybody. The only difference was the treatment, the nutritional treatment. Drinks or supplements were implemented 20 minutes before passing, 20 minutes after completing the training session. We evaluated many variables. These are the two more important. Jump capacity. What you are watching here is 1 hour after completing the third training session, because people were doing on Monday, very hard training. Tuesday, very hard training. Wednesday, very hard training. And drinking the supplement immediately after training. We test fatigue 1 hour after completing the third training on Wednesday. You can see the columns are going the negative value. People are fatigued. 1 day after training, 2 days after training. Which group is more fatigued than the other group? The white group is more fatigued. What was eating or drinking this group? This condition, because it's one group and two conditions, only carbohydrates. That means our results of this study are telling us that drinking multinutrients will speed up recovery and attenuate fatigue when you perform exercise following a nutritional strategy. This is only one study. Only one study. We also evaluated the involuntary muscle activation using the TMG, which is an instrument, an equipment that allows you to transmit a stimulus to muscles and muscle contract. Not because you want, it's a voluntary contraction, and send you an electric stimulation, you contract your muscle. You don't know, but muscle contract. Okay? An easy way we have to analyze the contractile properties of muscles, regardless of your willingness to train. It's involuntary. We observe almost the same. After 1 hour, both groups were fatigued, but after 1 day, 24 hours after the last training, both groups were fatigued, but after 2 days, 48 hours, only the group drinking the supplement containing multi-ingredient demonstrated recovery, while the other was still fatigued. Conclusions: compared with ingesting only carbohydrates, the post-workout multi-nutrient was better to facilitate recovery. Three parallel groups. One group was drinking carbohydrates, diet was controlled. There was another group drinking whey protein, and a third group using beef protein. All groups mix this supplement with orange juice. 6 weeks of intervention. At the end of every training, people were drinking this supplement and doing resistance training. Strength, almost the same, a little advantage for the group using beef protein. But regarding body composition, people who were drinking protein plus orange juice obtained better results in increasing fat-free mass. The group using carbs didn't improve fat-free mass as the other two groups. Significant difference in baseline and between them. Hypertrophy, very similar. So, post-workout multi-ingredient, mainly using whey and beef plus orange juice, could be better to support fat-free mass accretion when people train using resistant exercise. So it could be better to use this supplement, not just carbohydrate or nothing. This is our last published paper, published in the European Journal of Physiology a couple of months ago. Two parallel groups. Here there are endurance athletes training 10 weeks. After training, they were drinking maltodextrin, which is carbohydrate, or this multi-ingredient containing protein from beef and whey, mixing with water. We analyze here immunomarkers, markers of inflammation. In other words, your immune status. That is also applicable to sedentary people. This is the ratio between neutrophils and lymphocytes. The ratio between neutrophils and lymphocytes should be around 1.4, the green line. If this ratio increase at baseline, because this is not an acute study, we take blood at rest during the morning, and then we train during 10 weeks, and we take blood at rest during the morning after the intervention. This ratio, to say you are having a very good immune status, enough should be 1.4, 1.5. Never approach 2. 2 is really something to pay attention. And if it rises to 2.5, it's wrong. This is considered very weak immune status, connected with a significant drop in performance, not only in endurance, but also in fighting sport athletes. The group who maintained a good neutrophil to lymphocyte ratio was the group drinking protein and carbs, multi-ingredient, not the one using maltodextrin. The ratio of platelets to lymphocyte ratio, that is another marker of immune system, we are taking in our lab because we have a special device to analyze blood very easy. Happened the same. The group drinking carbohydrates increased the ratio, which is not good, while the group drinking the multi-ingredient maintained the ratio within the normal and recommended values. And this is the systemic immune inflammation index, the ISYY, that show what they say. This is the most powerful markers because mix all the markers, the previous two markers as well. And it's considered nowadays one of the most important markers that we can take and measure indirectly, very easy, in just 1 minute after taking 1 drop of blood, the finger or here, and again demonstrated that the group who was drinking the multi-ingredient was the only group keeping the immune status within the recommended values. Drinking the multi-ingredient is recommended over drinking only carbohydrates. This is the study published with Joel in 2020 in Nutrients. Was a pre-workout within subject comparison, a comparing design. People were attending 5 trainings days per week, resistance training 3 times per week, endurance training 2 times per week. Half of the group started drinking one condition, the other half of the group started with the other condition. Okay? Then they swap. And we compare result, people using, when participants were ingesting the pre-workout, they were able to move more weight, training harder, and also burn more fat. When they were exercising aerobically, they used more fat than carbohydrate, than glycogen. So, according to this data, and this study is published in open access, it's better to have a pre-workout containing protein, carbohydrate, and some stimulants. One of the stimulants was caffeine, than just eating normal food or carbohydrates. The last study that is in progress, ready to be submitted during maybe by the end of this month. If Joel complete what he has to complete. 2 parallel groups, was one drinking only carbohydrates, the other group eating protein. This was a parallel group because of the characteristics of the study, 6 weeks of intervention. Some who have been attending our lab have seen many people training, mainly Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The lab was very busy. Kelly Cooper was not very happy, but this is what it is. Train until 8 or 9 p.m. And this study involved a lot of people, more than 40 people training almost 3 or 4 times per day, drinking the supplement after the training. Results indicate that the multi-ingredient produced better result in body composition. People decrease fat, more fat than the other group, and reduce waist circumference, which is important. This study has been done with general population, female and males over 45 years old. General population, not for athletes, for general population, for health. Training is the most important variable because training induces hypertrophy, improve functional capacity with no difference between groups. So nutrition is important to support exercise adaptation. Just nutrition will not be enough to produce change on health. We do support the use of multi-ingredients because it seems that our outcome will be better. What these studies tell us is that pre- and post-workout multi-ingredients could be a very recommendable strategy to support exercise adaptation. Exercise is health. Sedentary lifestyle is unhealthy. Be healthy, do exercise, and then think in eating well. But first, you need to do exercise. And thank you very much for your attention. Happy to respond question, or at the end, how is the...
Yeah, we can take questions. Thanks, Fernando. While we wait for people online, I might just have a question. Maybe, if you don't mind, we could go back to some of the slides. You know, with the one where you had the post-workout, Fernando, you had the one where after 48 hours, those that had taken the post-workout supplement were less fatigued than those that...
This one.
Yes. So I guess I just wanted to understand, you know, here how this all works. What is the mechanism by which this supplementation actually, you know, results in you being less fatigued? You know, so the actual biological kind of mechanisms that are taking place. And then the other question is, how many minutes? Once, you know, after it says less than 20 minutes post-workout that you have to take this. And, you know, almost in my mind, I'm thinking, you know, post 1 hour, it looks like, you know, both groups were quite fatigued.
Yeah.
But does it make a difference if you were to take it like pre-workout even? You know, would it lead you to less fatigue if you were to take the supplements like before you even work out? Because it makes like sense, you know, that, you know, because it seems to have a long-lasting effect, and that there's a statistically significant difference between the two conditions. I was just interested to know, does it only work post-workout?
No,
Because I
no.
see some are pre and some are post.
Yes, it was a 25 minutes presentation, and I couldn't explain what it takes to me, maybe 10 hours to explain to students. And they still don't understand very well because I am not a very good teacher for some of them. But yes, first, there are many kinds to formulate multi-ingredients. Pre-workout usually contain more caffeine, yerba mate, stimulants, of course not forbidden stimulants, that can be drinking without any kind of obsession. So you can drink caffeine. In order to produce some damage drinking caffeine, you should eat a massive amount that no supplement contains this amount. And contain a small amount of carbohydrates, a small amount of protein, and sometimes no fat or very, very low amount of fat, and mainly from a kind of fat that can easily be digested. And these pre-workout contain usually no more than 100 kilocalories per intake, which is very low. Post-workout contain more carbs, no caffeine, no stimulants, more protein and more fat, and contain maybe 200 and 300 kilocalories per intake in average, right? So when you drink pre-workout, you are drinking something or taking something, it can be also tablets or caps, that you can take in order to train better, to increase your willingness to train. This is a pre-workout. When you drink something post-workout, is for speeding up recovery. It's a different outcome. In fact, there are many studies using pre and post-workouts, both supplements, okay? So in this case, we use a post-workout supplement. This supplement contains carbohydrates, not 3-1, was not exactly 3-1. If you read the paper, the composition is maybe 45% versus 25% in terms of carbohydrate relation to protein with small amount of fat. So the amount of energy here was 250 kilocalories, more or less. I don't remember exactly the number. So this is a supplement aimed to recover you faster for the next training session. For training tomorrow, for training after 2-4 days. And we are supplementing people. We train Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in a row without having a 48-day rest. No. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. People Wednesday were very tired. Drinking the supplement immediately after training, as soon as possible. Some people drink the supplement 5-10 minutes. Other people were reluctant to drink immediately after training, but everybody complete the intake before passing 20 minutes post-training. They were not allowed to eat any food until passing 2 hours after training. This was a condition in order to see the relevance of the impact of the post-workout supplement. And the first test was 1 hour after the third training session. So Wednesday was a very tough day because people train having the fatigue of the previous 2 sessions, and there after 1 hour, they drank the supplement, resting for 40 minutes, they were tested again. Wednesday was a very tough day. And you can see the group drinking the multi-nutrient was not significantly fatigued from the statistical point of view.
It's fascinating results, very, very interesting. And I'll tell my father about yerba mate, because I think it'll be very...
Yerba mate works in the next. We have three paper published with yerba mate in the past, yes. But in this study, no, this not, but in this study, we include them pre-workout. This was a pre-workout, but it was also a crossover design. They were drinking a pre-workout before training. the aim was different. Here we wanted to have people training harder. We didn't focus on recovery. We focusing, I need you to have, I need to train. And people sometimes, they were willing to train harder because we also test many other variables. Anxiety, willing to train. There are some scales. Maybe Marco Seijo can explain better than me because it's his area and he is better than me in explaining the impact on the willingness and feelings. But here we observe that when people using the pre-workout, they move more weight. And there was not a group effect, you know, in the within subject comparison. The first we need to guarantee is the order of the execution, because we are going to do the same. But maybe he is starting a different group or a different condition. He starts with pre-workout, and I am going to start with carbohydrate. And then the second part, because we swap, yes. I do carbohydrate and he does pre-workout. So we need to test the order effect, not order effect. The P was, I don't know, 0.80, so no order effect. So there was not an effect of order of condition on the results. Yeah. It was very important.
When you take the pre-workout, what is the optimal time? Because you've got there, 15 minutes. What is the optimal time to take these things? Maybe if you take it too early, it doesn't.
Yes, caffeine has a peak in blood after 1 hour, but they start to produce effect after 20 minutes of the intake. However, because I know 1 hour before, no, 1 hour before, no, because after 1 hour drinking caffeine, I will do the warm up. And I need the peak effect when I am in the most important segment of my training session. We ingest this pre-workout 20-25 minutes, no closer than 15 minutes. And when people were in the middle of the training or ending the training, and the training became harder, they were obtaining in theory the highest effect of caffeine. We can assure this because in 2013, one of my PhD, the first PhD I had in England, Robert Cooper, we did several studies with caffeine. 2 of them has been published, and in one of them, we observed that people perform better after 1 hour of having drinking caffeine. And we use a gel commercialized with a branch in UK. And this is published in the European Journal, it's in the Sports Science Journal. And we did this in 2013. Very good question, huh? And she's not from our area. It's a fantastic question.
This is excellent, Fernando. And please, Joel and yourself have done amazing work here, so well done. There's probably questions online and you didn't check.
I don't know how to control the online.
I have a question, Fernando. Actually, at least a couple of questions. And the first one would be, your studies are about multi-nutritional elements, and my curiosity would be, everybody needs to take this multiple
multi-ingredients.
Multi-ingredients. Thank you.
Any word works.
Yeah, thank you. So the multi-ingredients are essential, but I was wondering, how can we, because you said every sportsman needs all these nutrients, but differently, because there are different needs. Mm-hmm. And my question would be, how can we tailor the different ingredients according to different needs, and how can we know what our actual needs are?
How you know? Ask an expert. Because our profession is one of the professions. There are many others in which people think that they know, and you need an expert. Because if you come to me and say, okay, I need to improve my rest exercise outcomes. Okay, body mass, body composition analysis. I need to analyze your diet. And then after this analysis, I will analyze what you do. The diet It's not based on your body mass, age, and gender or sex. No, it's based on what you do. First, I need to know what you do, and then I will decide how to feed you. And after analyzing and providing a good diet, balanced according to your needs, I will recommend you the integration of a multi-ingredient before or after, or both, your training session. For example, if you are an athlete or you are interested in going to run the marathon in New York, okay, on the London Marathon, you are focusing in endurance training. Can I recommend you supplement with creatine? Yes, I can. But the dosification is 0.03 gram per kilograms of body mass per day. But if you tomorrow, after running the marathon in New York, say, no, I don't like marathon, I will go for, I don't know, a Strenght, I became bigger, I go to Ibiza with me, or Café, which is the famous in Rome, well, near the Vatican. Well, there is a place to go for to the sea. Okay, you go to what with Ibiza with me, enjoy your improved body composition. You want to gain muscle mass, okay? I will not recommend 0.03 per day. I will recommend 0.100 milligrams per kilogram of body mass per day in 1 or 2 intakes during and after training. So I am using the same product, different methodologies, different dosification. For recovery after training, so I need to recover after training. For a marathon runner needs proteins. Marathon runner needs 1.8 grams of protein per kilograms of body mass, which is similar to what a bodybuilder needs. But after training, you don't need more than 0.25 grams per kilograms of body mass because you are doing an endurance training. Okay? But if you, after running the marathon, come to me and say, now I will go resistance exercise, after training, I will give you 0.5 grams per kilograms of body mass of proteins. So I change the methodology, I change the dosification, and I am fitting your needs, but you need an expert. How do I know how to build my house? I need an expert. I know nothing. If I go with I think, my house ensemble will be, I suffered, will knock down in 1 day. The humidities, many things. So for our area, there are experts in sports science, and we have very good experts in our centers. Health, Ian is here, Marco is here, they do different things as I do. Roberto is studying how to work with patients with cancer, and he will be a reference in maybe in 3, 4, 5 days, 5 years, sorry, no days. Because he will become the expert, one reference expert in his area. Exercise nutrition needs specific expert specialists. Otherwise, people make mistakes.
I think there's a question from Arwen on the chat. I can see it on my phone, but I don't know if you can read it very small.
I'll just read it out. In
Sure.
both meta-analysis and RCTs presented, was there a consideration for the product's quality attributes and standardization?
Well, in the first one, I don't remember because I didn't do this meta-analysis. I should need to read again. But in our meta-analysis, it was, we cannot analyze the product quality. We can analyze the product composition. And then trust on what is published. Okay, but many, some randomized control trial, of course, published the branch, but others do not publish the branch. And therefore, we need to trust on the product compositions. But yes, we analyze this. And this is a fantastic question because it's an additional source of error. Let me see.
I don't know if Bowen, you want to come in. I think Bowen can hear us, right?
Yes, I can hear you. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry, was not be able to be there fantastic research and presentation. I had to ask this question because this is one of the major areas of concerns when testing supplements, either as a supplement or for a health intervention. So one problem with maltodextrin is that there are chains of glucose, and the D-glucose linkage is through alpha-6 and alpha-4 position in the chemical structure and molecular composition. So one area of concern, since supplements are not standardized by law, regardless it's in the EU, USA, so the composition can differ from one manufacturer to another. And this poses significant problem for consumers. So for example, if the composition is not similar, might not lead to similar outcome. Or another issue with the composition is that whether it is digestible maltodextrin, in case of maltodextrin, is it digestible or not? Or if it is refined carbohydrates or not. So for example, including isolate starch in the food and beverage, that can lead to an extra increase or boost in post-consumption or post-ingestion glucose rise. So this was my main area of concerns whenever I see randomized controlled trials and meta-analysis for supplements. So maybe you could take this forward for your next RCT to look at the stability, chemistry, manufacturing, and control. This is my idea on the subject. It's more like a question and observation.
No, it's okay, it's correct. That is because I include here diet composition. Diet composition is not just if you are eating more carbs or less carbs, it's also the composition and the quality of the food. But in our studies, because I cannot respond from studies I read in the presented meta-analysis published in the British Journal of Pharmacy, because it's not my meta-analysis, but in our studies, in our randomized control trial, we always have the report of the labs and the biochemical composition of the food we use. We have the partner, which is Crown, is our partner. Crown is our partner, is supplier us all the product we use in our research. And the other partner we have is GoFit, which is somewhere in my presentation, as it was in the last year, GoFit Lab. And before starting any intervention in nutrition, we ask for all certifications of how the product has been manufactured. And this information in our study is available, in our studies, but I cannot respond by other people. So we assume that it's a paper published in the British Journal for Medicine or in one prestigious journal in our area. You are right, we cannot assure this. But we maybe can say, okay, the information is trustable. This is the maximum I can say.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Take a long time. Thank you very much.
Roberto, now I don't know if your slides are already up. Yeah. Oh, thank you, really.